Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something straight from the heart. You can't always tell how much a man loves you just by the way he looks at you, or even the way he treats you on good days. But if you really want to know where a man's heart is, pay close attention to what comes out of his mouth. Because men only say certain things to the women they truly, deeply love. A man's words may seem simple on the surface, but the truth is they carry a weight that can reveal the very core of his heart. Men talk all day long. They joke with friends. They give compliments at work. They make casual conversation in passing. And they'll say what they need to say just to keep a situation moving. But if you really pay attention, there's a clear line between what a man says to just anybody and what he says to the woman he truly loves. The language shifts, the tone changes, and suddenly his words are no longer casual, but deeply personal. See, men are careful about what they put out into the world. They don't want to expose too much, because exposing too much can make them look weak, vulnerable, or needy. And men by nature don't like appearing that way. But when a man's heart is caught, when his soul is tied up in how he feels for a woman, his words begin to reflect something that even he can't hide. He might not even realize it at first, but listen closely and you'll hear the difference. Huh? To the world, he might say, "How are you?" in a flat, polite tone. But to the woman he loves, it's not just "How are you?" It becomes, "Are you okay? Did you eat today? What's been on your mind?" That simple shift turns a standard question into an act of care. It's not small talk anymore. It's him reaching out to check her soul. That's when you know the words have crossed from casual to intimate. And it doesn't stop there. A man who is truly in love will start speaking in ways that pull her into his world. With others, his talk might be shallow, sports, weather, work, routine. But with her, he'll open doors to his dreams, his goals, his plans for the future. He'll say things like, "I want to build something," or "One day I'm going to own this." And before long, those sentences include her. It becomes, "We could do this," or "I can see us living there." That's not just talk, that's vision. And men don't hand out vision lightly. If he's including her in it, it means his heart has already made room for her. Then there's the way he talks about himself. Most men walk around carrying armor. They keep the tough face, the strong act, the unshakable posture. But when love steps in, the armor comes off in pieces. He'll start saying things like, "I worry about letting you down," or "I don't want to lose you." Those aren't words for public use. Those are private confessions, reserved only for the woman who holds his heart. He may talk all day to the world without ever once showing weakness, but with her, his words are raw. They carry fear, hope, desire, and devotion all mixed in together. Even the smallest phrases become loaded with meaning. When he says, "Text me when you get home," it's not just about her sending a message. It's his way of saying, "I need to know you're safe because you matter to me." When he says, "I'm proud of you," it's not just encouragement. It's his way of saying, "Your success is my joy." And when he whispers, "I love you," those three words carry the weight of every unspoken thought. He's too strong, too proud, or too guarded to put into sentences. A man can throw compliments around all day long. He can tell somebody she looks nice. He can laugh and flirt. He can entertain and charm. But he saves his deepest words for the woman he loves. That's the dividing line. He doesn't speak the same way to her that he speaks to anyone else. His tone softens, his attention sharpens, and his words become mirrors reflecting the truest parts of himself. So if you want to know where you stand with a man, don't just watch his moves or count his gifts. Tune your ear to his words. Pay attention to what he says only to you, words he doesn't use with anyone else. Because those words, those sacred, vulnerable, unguarded words are the language of love. And men only speak that language when their heart has found a home. A man's words can be the clearest reflection of his heart, but you've got to know how to listen. Men talk to all kinds of people every single day. They talk at work, they joke with their friends, they speak in passing to strangers. But when a man is in love, when his heart is truly tied to one woman, the words that leave his mouth are different. They take on a new weight, a new tone, and a new depth. You won't even have to guess it because his language changes in a way that's impossible to hide. The casual talk he gives to everyone else becomes intentional, personal, and sometimes deeply revealing when he's speaking to the woman he loves. It's important to understand that men are usually careful with their words. Most men don't like giving away too much of themselves. They want to look strong, secure, and in control. They don't want anybody to see the cracks in their armor. So in everyday life, their conversations might stay on the surface. They'll talk about sports, work, money, traffic, or the news. None of that reveals anything about who they really are inside. That's because to the world, men prefer to keep their emotions hidden, but the woman who captures his heart becomes the exception. With her, his words go deeper. His speech starts carrying the weight of his love, whether he admits it or not. Take something as simple as asking, "How are you?" To most people, that question is nothing more than manners, but to the woman he loves, that same question transforms. It becomes, "Are you really okay? What's been stressing you? Did you sleep well? Did you eat?" The tone shifts because it's no longer about small talk. It's about care. A man in love uses his words as a way to nurture, to protect, and to make sure the woman he cares about feels seen. That's a language he reserves only for her. And here's where the vulnerability comes in. Men don't like exposing their soft sides. Society has trained men to be tough, to keep emotions tucked away, to never look weak. But when a man falls in love, his words betray that toughness. His language begins to reveal what he normally keeps hidden. He may say things like, "I can't stop thinking about you," or "I need you in my life." Those sentences may sound simple, but for a man, they are loaded with vulnerability. Every time he admits he needs you, he's stepping outside of his comfort zone. He's risking rejection, risking the possibility of looking weak, all because his love is stronger than his pride. When a man is in love, he starts using words that tie you into his vision of the future. Around others, his talk may be about his personal goals, his career, or his hobbies, but with you, he'll start saying, "We could do this," or "I can see us building that together." That "we" language doesn't come from casual attraction. It comes from love. He doesn't just want to talk about himself anymore. He wants to imagine and create a life that includes you. That's his way of exposing a piece of his heart and letting you know you're not just part of his present, but part of his tomorrow. The vulnerability also shows up in the way he talks about his fears. Men keep those locked up tighter than anything else. Most of the time, you'll never hear a man admit what scares him, but love changes that. When he's with the woman he loves, his words begin to open doors he usually keeps sealed shut. He might admit, I'm afraid of losing you, or I don't want to fail you. He may even share failures from his past that he doesn't talk about with anyone else. Those words are sacred because they show trust. They reveal that he feels safe enough with you to put his pride aside and let you see the truth of who he is. That's the power of love. It takes a man's words from ordinary to extraordinary. It shifts them from casual and guarded to vulnerable and real. You'll notice he doesn't just say things to fill the silence. He says things that expose his heart. And those words are never wasted. They're reserved for the woman who holds his love, the woman who matters enough for him to risk showing a side of himself he keeps hidden from the rest of the world. When a man speaks, his words might sound ordinary to anyone else, but to the woman who listens carefully, they can reveal everything about his heart. Men talk every single day, and most of that talk doesn't mean much. They talk at work, they talk with friends, they crack jokes, and they keep conversations light. But the moment a man truly falls in love, his language begins to change. Suddenly, the words he uses with one woman are unlike the ones he uses with anyone else. They hold weight, they carry feeling, and they expose a side of him he usually keeps hidden. It's the difference between casual talk and heart talk. And that difference can't be faked. With everyone else, he might be polite, funny, or even charming. He might throw around compliments or talk about random things without putting much thought into them. But when he's with the woman he loves, even his smallest words take on a new meaning. When he asks her, "How was your day?" it's not just a question, it's concern. It's his way of making space for her thoughts, her struggles, and her victories. That shift in tone and intent separates what he says to everyone else from what he saves for her. His language becomes personal because his love has made her personal to him. Here's the thing about love. It pulls vulnerability out of a man, whether he wants it to or not. Men are trained to stay guarded. We grow up believing that to be strong means never admitting weakness, never showing fear, and never letting anyone see our softer side. But love breaks through that armor. Suddenly a man starts saying things he never thought he would say. Words like, "I need you," or "I don't know what I'd do without you," slip out. Those phrases may sound simple, but for a man, they carry enormous weight. Every time he speaks them, he's admitting that he can't stand on his pride alone. He's letting her see the part of him that is scared, dependent, and hopeful. That's not casual talk. That's vulnerability. And vulnerability is one of the clearest signs of real love. You can always tell when love is real by listening to how a man talks about the future. This is where the difference becomes obvious. Around most people, his words about tomorrow are self-centered. He'll say things like, "I want to get a new car," or "One day I'm going to own a business." But when he's speaking to the woman he loves, his words shift. Suddenly, it's not just I anymore, it's we. It becomes, "One day we could buy a place like that," or "I want us to travel there." That simple switch from I to we is more powerful than any love poem. It's him putting her in his vision, making her a permanent part of what he wants to build. A man doesn't casually place someone in his future. He only does that when his heart has decided she belongs there. I tell the young, the old, and a child, the most beautiful canon teaching first is how to be. This kind of talk doesn't happen by accident. Men are intentional with their words when it comes to love, especially when they talk about what's ahead. When a man starts saying things like, I want you to meet my family, or I can see us raising kids together, he's not just filling space. He's making a declaration. He's telling her in the only way he knows how that his future doesn't make sense without her in it. That's not flirtation. That's commitment being spoken out loud. The shift in language is the clearest evidence of where a man's heart lies. To the world, his words might be casual, guarded, or shallow, but with the woman he loves, his words become heavier, softer, and more meaningful. He exposes his emotions, he admits his needs, and he speaks about tomorrow as if she's already written into the story. And that's the thing men can't hide. They might control their actions, they might protect their feelings, but once they start speaking about love, vulnerability, and the future, you know exactly where their heart is. Those words are not for everybody. They are only for the woman who has captured his soul. The words of a man may sound simple, but when you learn to listen carefully, they will tell you exactly where his heart is. Men speak to many people every single day. They speak out of politeness, out of habit, and sometimes just to pass the time. They talk to co-workers, friends, family, and even strangers. But when a man falls in love, the words he uses with that one woman stand apart from everything else he said. His language shifts, his tone softens, and his speech becomes layered with emotions he doesn't share with anyone else. Love changes the way he talks, and you can always tell when his words are born out of real affection. Most men keep their words light and casual with everyone else. They don't like giving away too much. A man will talk about work, about the game, about what's going on in the news, or make a joke here and there. That's safe talk. That's the language of someone who's protecting himself. But with the woman he loves, even the simplest words start carrying a new meaning. When he says, "How was your day?" it's not a throwaway phrase anymore. It's his way of checking on her heart. When he says, "Text me when you get home," it's not about a message, it's about knowing she's safe. These aren't casual remarks. They're intentional, and they reveal his love in small but powerful ways. Real love has a way of breaking through the strongest walls men build around themselves. Men are trained to be tough, to never show weakness, and to never give away what's really going on inside. But once love takes hold, his words begin to betray that toughness. Suddenly he's saying things like, "I need you," or "I can't imagine my life without you." For most men, those kinds of words don't come easily. They require vulnerability, and vulnerability is risky. It means showing a side of himself that could be rejected or misunderstood. Yet when a man is truly in love, he will risk it. He will let his words reveal the parts of him he usually hides, because loving her matters more than protecting his pride. That vulnerability becomes even clearer when he talks about the future. A man who isn't serious will keep his words about tomorrow focused only on himself. He'll say, "I want to buy this," or "one day I'll do that." But when he loves a woman, his language shifts. It becomes, "We should travel there together," or "I want us to have a home like this one day." He begins to paint pictures of a life that includes her. He starts to speak as if she is already a permanent part of what's ahead. That kind of talk doesn't come from casual attraction. It comes from a man whose heart has chosen, a man who can imagine his future without her in it. And here's where love changes his language completely. Words that used to be casual suddenly carry depth. Compliments aren't just about looks anymore, they're about meaning. Instead of saying, "You're beautiful," he might say, "You make me better." Instead of a simple, "I like you," he'll say, "I love you for who you are." Love transforms his words into something intentional. He's no longer talking just to fill silence or pass time. He's talking to build something, to connect on a deeper level, to make her feel the truth of what she means to him. The difference between a man who is passing time and a man who is in love can always be found in his words. Casual talk fades quickly, but intentional words leave an imprint. When his language turns from shallow to vulnerable, when his conversations move from today to tomorrow, when his compliments go beyond the surface, that's when you know his love is real. A man may speak to many people in his lifetime, but he saves his deepest, most intentional words for the woman who holds his heart. A man's words are often the truest window into his soul, but the key is knowing when those words are ordinary and when they carry the weight of love. Men talk every day, and most of that talk doesn't mean much. They joke with their friends. They speak politely at work. They make casual conversation with strangers. That's just the rhythm of daily life. But the moment a man truly falls in love, his words start to sound different. They aren't just for passing time anymore. They are deliberate, emotional, and deeply personal. He doesn't talk to the woman he loves the same way he talks to everyone else, because his feelings have transformed his language into something sacred. Men are usually careful with what they say. They know words can expose too much, and most men prefer to look strong, steady, and in control. That's why in everyday life, their speech often stays shallow. They talk about sports, money, weather, or simple updates, but they avoid opening up. Yet love has a way of breaking through that wall. Once his heart is captured, his words shift. He'll ask, "Did you eat today?" or "How are you really feeling?" He's not just being polite anymore. He's letting his concern shape his words, and those small changes reveal his love in ways bigger than any grand gesture could. And love also pushes a man into vulnerability. And that's something men rarely give away. Pride tells them to stay guarded, to never admit weakness, and to keep emotions locked down. But when a man loves a woman, his pride starts taking a back seat. Suddenly he's saying things like, "I don't want to lose you," or "You mean more to me than I can explain." Those words cost him something, because they leave him exposed. They show he needs her, that she has power over his heart, and that she holds a part of him no one else does. Men don't hand out that kind of vulnerability to just anyone. It's reserved for the one they love. And when it comes to the future, his words tell the story loud and clear. Around others, he might talk only about himself. He'll say one day, "I'll buy this," or "I want to do that." But when he loves a woman, his language changes. It becomes, "We should build something together," or "I can see us living there." That switch from I to we is one of the most powerful signs of love. He doesn't just see her in his present. He envisions her in his tomorrow. And men don't casually talk about forever. When they do, it means their heart has already made the decision. This is where love shifts his language from casual to intentional. He's no longer speaking just to fill silence or keep a conversation alive. Every word begins to serve a purpose. Instead of saying, "You look good," he'll say, "You inspire me." Instead of, I like spending time with you, he'll say, I can't imagine life without you. Love changes the tone, the content, and even the rhythm of his words. They start to build, to connect, and to reassure, because he wants her to know her place in his heart is secure. But perhaps the most telling words come when a man shares his fears and dreams. These are the parts of himself he guards most tightly. Men rarely reveal what truly keeps them up at night or what they secretly hope for in the future. To most of the world, they'll act like they have it all figured out. But when love takes over, the mask slips. He might whisper, I'm scared I'll fail, or I've never told anyone this, but here's what I really want. He might open up about childhood wounds, mistakes he regrets, or visions of a future he's too shy to share with anyone else. When he does this, it's not just talking, it's love speaking through him. Trusting her with those words means he sees her as his safe place, his confidant, and his partner. That's why a man's words are so powerful. Casual words belong to everyone, but vulnerable, intentional, and deeply revealing words belong only to the woman he loves. When he shares his fears, his hopes, and his dreams, you can be certain his heart is already yours. A man's language reveals far more than most people realize. He may talk to dozens of people in the same day, but the words he uses with the woman he loves stand apart from everything else. They carry a softness, a care, and a weight that he doesn't offer to anyone else. To the world, he may stay casual, polite, or even guarded, but to the one who has captured his heart, his speech becomes something deeper. That difference is the first clue that his love is real. Love doesn't just change what he says, it changes how he says it. Men are not quick to expose their hearts. Most of the time, they hide their feelings behind humor, distraction, or silence. But when he's in love, his words begin to show his vulnerability. He might whisper, I can't imagine life without you, or I need you. Those sentences sound simple, but for a man, they cost something. They expose the part of him he usually keeps hidden. Vulnerability is never given freely, so when you hear it in his words, understand it's because his love has broken down his wall. The future is another place his language reveals the truth. A man who is not serious will speak only about himself, his plans, his goals, his dreams. But when he is truly in love, those words change. He starts saying we. He begins to imagine a life that includes her. He may talk about homes, children, or traveling together. He might even say, I want you to meet my family. These are not empty statements. They're declarations that he has written her into his vision of tomorrow. That shift is what makes his language intentional. He no longer speaks just to pass time. Instead of giving out shallow compliments, his words begin to build something lasting. He doesn't just say, you're pretty. He says, you make me better. He doesn't only say, I like being around you. He says, you're my peace. Every phrase becomes deliberate, designed to show her where she stands in his life. And then there are the moments when he shares the things he tells no one else. His fears, his failures, his secret dreams. He might admit, I'm scared I won't measure up. Or, here's what I really hope for. Those confessions are not casual, they're sacred. They mean he trusts her with the parts of himself that carry both pain and hope. When he gives her those words, he's giving her his heart. But words alone aren't enough. Love makes a man back up his speech with action. He says, I'll be there